All right, good evening and welcome to the Franchise Time Machine. Tonight we're doing a continuation of an experiment we started a couple nights ago. So, to establish a baseline, I imported a roster of uh, some of my all time favorite Major League Baseball players and their peak seasons. So, it's about as good as you can get. Um, I mean, the one way to make it better, and I'm actually thinking about doing this as another stream, is um, what happens if I just go to max out the record? So, for example, I took Hank Aaron because he's one of my favorite players, but his career is such that he was really good for a long time, but there might be some players who had better individual seasons than him that I didn't pick. So that's one example. Another is I took Nolan Ryan because he's my favorite pitcher, but as good as he was, there are probably pitchers who had better peak seasons, primarily in the form of better control. There are a few things we can do, but I think it'd be hard to beat what we did, but I think it's possible. So we'd hit 140 wins max, maybe 145. I had a hard time actually predicting over 140. Um, but I think it was the Nolan Network podcast who guessed in the 150s. 155, I think, was his guess. And I apologize if I got that wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Nolan. But it was a fun, active chat. So um, it was great having a lot of input. But the actual results were kind of bracketed. The guess of 155. His first sim was 153 and 9 with a game score of 1786, which I should do a better job of tabulating these. It'd be good. I, I never wanted the intent to be like to compare various sims against each other because the intent is to have fun and come up with like fun, wacky ideas and sim them in the base game and see what happens. I didn't want it to become like, um, oh, run an ad break. I'm just going to pause here while we're on an ad break. I don't know on the VOD what happens during an ad break. Does the ad play during the VOD or does it play what I'm saying now? So maybe I'll just keep talking just in case for the VOD, but with the understanding that like no one can hear me on the stream right now. Although I think if you subscribe, right, you can skip the ads. So there's one person, EVC and NYC2, who can still hear what I'm saying. I think we have 4 seconds left in the ad break. Okay. Sorry, we're back from the ad break. So yeah, I hesitate to tabulate all the game scores from across all the sims we've done because I never wanted to be like a competition amongst all the different wacky things I do. Um, I don't want adding five major leaguers who lost fingers to the Mets to have to compete with like the father-son team. Right? That's not why I do this, but I did this time because I wanted to get a baseline for how good is this team before we turned them 50 years old, and they're good. They're amazingly good. They're like God mode good. So the game first sim was game score 1786 with a 153 and 9 record. I think that probably was the highest game score to date, and it was immediately broken by sim number two, where the team went 156 and 6 in an 1895 game score. I think it would be fun. I should just go ahead and tabulate again, not to compete against other other ideas or sims, but just to show how dominant this team was in terms of like how many silver sluggers they won, or sorry, platinum stick awards they won. Um, that they swept. I think they had like the top five Cy Young Award vote getters. Won the MVP. Um, so yeah, maybe I'll do a summary of that. So tonight I'm going to do bringing all these players in as 50-year olds. I think the next one I'm going to do is bring them all in as 15-year olds. So here's how this came to be. We're doing another sim for you may have heard about my series. Let me see if I can find it. Um, yeah. So you may have heard about this series I'm simming, which is a team of the most not safe for work names in Major League history. And in the course of that, or the course of all the sims I do, I built these notepad files. I use Notepad. It can be any program that creates a TXT file. Um, but the reason I do it is I need the TXT file to feed into OOTP because there's a way to mass import an entire roster. So here's what the file looks like for um, our all-time greatest or my all-time favorites team. Now, when we did it for this NSFW team, right, you'll see the second data point for each one is its player ID, the year you want for that player, and then the destination, which is like the abbreviation of the team and the game. And I messed up one of the years, so it imported one of the players as a 73-year-old, uh, which is funny. I mean, we had a good laugh about it when someone noticed it. I didn't notice it. Someone else with a sharper eye noticed it. And so when we looked, their ratings were all super low in the 20s, and but funnily enough, they still had a stamina of, like in the 70s. So this, according to the game, this 33-year-old pitcher could go 7 or 8 innings if they didn't get shelled too bad. Um, so it made me wonder if the game's going to create a player card, for lack of a better term, a profile for a player in the 70s, then would it create a somewhat playable player card for someone in their 50s? And so that's that's how this came to be. Right. So let's bring them all in as 50-year-olds. I chose 50 because some of these guys were actually still playing in the majors in their 40s, like Nolan Ryan. Um, Not that he's on the team, but Julio Franco was still playing, I think, independent ball. But Nolan Ryan and I think Randy Johnson were pitching into their 40s, well into their 40s, and still highly effectively. So if I picked an age too young, we might actually have like an active player card. And I wanted like to force the game to produce a card for someone who's retired. Um, I do think there's a concern that the game engine might make players retire during the season. So that's one of the things we'll look for when we do this sim tonight. We don't have a reserve, so that'll be a big problem. If that happens, I may have to dig in to find out, is there a way to prevent retirements? There are a lot of things you can toggle on and off in the game, so we'll look for that. So I think we can get started. You have the background. Um, I have this as just a check, right? I was hoping the baseline would be a little lower because, we know there's going to be a drop off when these players are when they're 50 years old. Um, but I was hoping it'd be something that we could map a little more closely to this. But I mean, anything is going to be a huge drop off from this. So it's almost like the benchmark is too high. So we'll do 50-year-olds and we'll do 15-year-olds. And if it's still like way too off, one thing I might want to do is like try 49, 48, 47, and graph the game scores or the records, whichever one seems to track better, and see like where does the big drop off happen? Um, does it just happen when the game engine doesn't have real stats to work off of? So, for every player it might be different, or is there like a number where the game engine just assumes you drop off completely? I think it'd be interesting to see that. And then when we do the 50-year-olds, I think it's gonna be interesting in reverse. If you pick a year where the player doesn't have a card yet or ratings yet, how does the game engine extrapolate backwards to a younger player? So I think there might be a lot of experiments that come out of this one. So I think the first thing we need to do is update this roster file. So anytime you want to do a simulation like this, I think the first thing you should do is prepare this file. And I do it using, I start with a Google Sheet. You can use anything, but I find it easier to move players around if I'm in a Google Sheet rather than this TXT file, this notepad file. So here is the Google Sheet I used. Now, doesn't really matter what you put around it. The columns that really matter are the player ID, the year. Now, most recently we did peak year, but I'm going to have to switch this to this 50-year-old year, which, right, like we filled this in as we went, so we'd have it handy. And you need this third column of the destination. Now, you don't have to put a destination. If you feed this text file into OOTP with the third column, right? So the commas separate the columns in this text file. If you eliminate the second comma in this last column for franchise time machine, it'll put all of your imported players into the free agent pool. And sometimes you might want that, like if you're going to be drafting, with some buddies, you might want to have everyone in the free agent pool that then you're all going to pick from. Um, but usually for what we're going to do on this stream, we want to put it into our team. And whatever team we're going to take over, we're going to rename them as Franchise Time Machine and therefore FTM. It's a big time saver so that I can always just plug this into my spreadsheet and not have to worry about like which team might we take over. Okay, so now because it has to be in this order, right? Player ID, year, destination. I'm just going to move it around in the spreadsheet. So we did the peak year team last time. So this time we want to go the 50-year-old years. So I'm just going to highlight that column. I think it'll let me drag it over here. Yep. But now you see the destination is one column away. So now I'm going to move that over. So now we're set. Now I don't want to copy over the header. So I'm going to basically highlight from here the first player ID down to there. Okay, so those are the three columns we need. But before we do that, I need a place to paste it. So I'm going to create a new blank version of this TXT file. Okay, so that's ready to go. I'm going to copy from the spreadsheet, and then I'm going to paste it into here. Hold on, it's not working for some reason. Let me try that again. Okay, I copied it from the spreadsheet and I pasted it in here. Now you'll see that the commas are missing. And there's also an extraneous space in here. So I don't know if spaces matter, so I'm going to delete it just in case. So this is a little tedious, but it's still faster than doing it any other way as far as importing. So I'm just going to do delete, comma, down, delete, comma, down, delete, comma, down. And I'm going to have to do that. Oh, what is this supposed to be? I deleted something by mistake. It's supposed to be 2000. Okay. Okay. So it's a little tedious, but again, it's worth it to be able to import this using the list. I'm not gonna change the view, so you'll just have to believe me that I'm doing this all the way down the list. It's just a pattern of keys, so okay, so I'm going to come back up to the top of the screen now so you'll see my cursor again. Okay, now we need another comma here. So I'm going to do the same thing. Delete, comma. Whoops. See, every once in a while I'll slip and I'll delete something I'm not supposed to, or I'll type in something wrong. And that's where we have the errors like importing a 73-year-old. So hopefully I don't make any more mistakes. Okay, I'm going to go off the screen again. So just trust me that I'm doing the same thing all the way down the list. Okay, so this list is now ready to go. And I'm going to rename it something that I can find from the game. So I'm going to save it as Franchise Time Machine All Time MLB Favorites. I'll call it at 50 YO, 50 years old. It just has to be a name that I can find when I'm searching for this particular file from the game. Okay, so now that's ready to go. Now let's open the game. Um, okay, so I was just looking at the standings from the last sim. So you can see here we finished 156 and 6. So we're going to create a new game. I'm going to do this as if we're going to start from scratch. So you can follow this step by step to see how we do this sim, and you can apply it to any sim you want to do. And I'll also share some of my checklists that I still use, even though I've done this a bunch of times. I still use these checklists so I don't forget anything. All right, so we're going to create a new game. Now, when I would normally save this, and I already have, but when you exit, it's going to save it anyway. So, but just to just to be extra careful, I'm going to save it. But you'll see when I go to create a new one, it's going to auto save it anyway. But I'm a big believer in over saving and not risking losing data or files. Okay, so it saved it. Now I'm going to create a new game, and you'll see it'll do the same. It'll probably do the same. Oh, hold on. Okay. We're not going to do challenge mode because we want to be in commissioner mode. And we're going to create a historical thing. Oh, I stand corrected. Well, maybe it'll do it after this. It did not auto save when I created a new game. So I just learned something. Okay. Import complete history. For these one season sims, we probably don't need it. I check be doing well, I check it because so I'm gonna leave it checked. If you're only doing something within 23, you probably don't need it. I use default mode for all these simulations because they're only one season. I'm not worried about whether the game recalculates each player at the end of each season. So you have basically two big options when you're doing a simulation like this: recalc or non-recalc. And what recalc means is a season, the game looks at like what that player does the next season and completely recalculates their card and their fielding and so on to match more closely what happens in real life. Um, the alternative to that is career mode, which it still kind of goes by the potential of the player as listed on their player profile in the editor mode, but it doesn't use recalc to get there. It kind of just calculates its own path there. And I don't know a lot about how that calculation is done. I'm hoping at some point to maybe get someone from OOTP, one of the devs on the stream, and we can ask them things about like how does career mode calculate how to get a player from their current performance to their potential performance. Um, but again, for a single season sim, this stuff doesn't matter too much. What does matter here, though, is we want to make sure historic transactions are turned off, and this is where the first checklist comes in. This is more of a high-level checklist of the things I want to do during setup to make sure I don't screw anything up. So historic transactions off. I want injuries off because I'm not bringing in a reserve. Now, if you want to be more realistic, you can have a reserve and you can turn injuries on. But for me, the fun of building these rosters is I want to see these rosters play. And I don't want someone to get hurt and not be able to play. I would be really bummed out if I put this team in here and like Willie Mays was hurt and I didn't get to see him play, or Nolan Ryan was hurt and I didn't get to see him pitch. So I'm going to turn the injuries off. The All Star popular influence. This is something because, believe it or not, the most famous player in the world you can bring into your sim across time, and their popularity goes to unknown. You can bring in Babe Ruth. You can bring in, Hank Aaron, Cy Young. They will be unknown. And the default setting for all star voting is that the influence of popularity is high. And I think that's probably pretty true to life. There's a lot of reputational um, kind of value, and that's kind of why sometimes the best players don't get picked for the all star team, but it's like the ones who've been good for a long time. So I turn that off. I want to see if our players are playing well, I want to see that reflected in the all star voting because I kind of use that as an additional metric for how well our team is doing. And then there are a couple of manager setting things that I'll show you. Um, there's a do not disturb mode, but I'll show you in more detail. You actually don't want to use that mode. You want to create a de facto do not disturb, and I'll show you how to do that. And then for the mailbox, you don't need to do this, but I like to keep my mailbox as clean as possible because that's how I find out about who made the All Star team and who wins the postseason awards. But the main things at this point are let's keep historic transactions off as we set up the season. If you don't do this, whatever team we take over, whatever transactions they made during the year will happen. And so players will get added to our team that we don't want. We are going to import real minor leagues. Our team won't really care about that, but the other teams in our league may need to pull up players from the minors. And then in some of our sims, like the not safe for work team, some of the best names, like Dick Fitz or Steve Sharts, were only minor leaguers. So if I don't check this box, I can't bring them onto my team. The expansion doesn't matter so much because it's one season. And then the recalc doesn't matter because it's the recalc would happen at the end of the year anyway. Okay, we're going to leave the ratings as is. You can make a pretty good argument to change overall ratings and potential ratings from stars to also 20 to 80, but I'm just going to leave it as default. You know what? It is creating the game without saving the last game, so I'm glad I did that save. Okay, we've been calling this, what did we call this? Hold on, let me see. I wonder if I can use my, you're not seeing this on the screen, but I'm seeing if I can navigate through. I'll try to navigate to my save folder to see if I can find what I called. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I found the save games folder for OOTP 25, and I'm just trying to find what I called. I don't want the naming to be too different. What did I call this thing? I thought it would be FF for franchise favorites, but that's a slightly different project I'm working on. Okay, let's see. Okay, Fingers is the players who lost fingers team. Kitties and Steves is a team of all Kitty Bransfields and Dave Steves. NSW names. That's self-explanatory. I cannot find it. Oh, wait, here it is. It's under A. ATG, all-time greats. Ah, okay. I called it all-time MLB favorites. Okay. I apologize for that delay. I found the name. This is what I called it, and then I'm going to call like the last version was called Peak. This is 50-year-old because everyone's going to be 50 years old, roughly. Do you want to be in commissioner mode? And we don't want to be fired from our teams. We're going to check those boxes. And we're going to start the sim, create the sim. I say roughly 50 years old because in baseball reference, it designates each season as a player's whatever age season. What I don't know is, do they turn that age at the beginning of the year? Is, is it their age at the start of the year, or is it the age at the start of the season? Is it the age at the end of the season? I don't know. But it's whatever the player age is. So we might have some 49-year-olds, we might have some 51-year-olds, but the idea is everyone to have their 50-year-old season according to baseball reference on the team. And to me, that's close enough for what we're doing. Okay, you'll see that yellow bar at the top of the screen is still chewing on this. Sorting database, it's still working on it. Still chewing on it. I guess while it's thinking, let's go back over that first checklist. So historic transactions are off. We did that. It was already off, but we want to double check that, which we did. Once the game is set up, we'll do then the injuries and the all-star influence. Still initializing. Still thinking. Okay, great. So in 2023, typically what we've been doing is taking over the Oakland Athletics. Right. You can pick whatever team you want to take over. If you want to add to your favorite team, then by all means, select your favorite team as the one you're going to manage. We're going to do the Oakland A's since they're leaving anyway. Hopefully, you won't take this long to set up yours. I think my computer's running a little slow between having the game and several browsers and OBS, which is what I use to stream up. I think it runs a little slow. Okay, here we go. So now that we're in the game, let's remember what we were going to do. Injuries off, all-star popularity influence off, do not disturb. So we'll do those things first. Most of them are going to take place in here under game and game settings. Okay, under players and team, you'll see enable injuries is checked. We're going to uncheck that. Okay, now none of our players will get hurt, and also none of the players across the league will get hurt either. And we'll go to league settings, and under options, on the right side of the screen, you'll see here all-star game settings. All-star game location, influence of popularity, and all-star vote. We're going to set it from high to none. So popularity doesn't matter at all. It's going to be all based on performance. Another thing that's not on the checklist, but I like to do is I like to uncheck here, pitchers may win. I don't want pitchers winning the MVP award. They have the Cy Young award. That'll help us identify the best pitcher. And then I want the MVP award to help me identify the best offensive player. Okay. Then we have to do our do not disturb settings. Okay. If you go to manager and manager options, okay, you'll see here on the right side, the human manager, right? I play as Mochi Mitsushi, is in charge of everything. So the AI shouldn't do any of these things. The AI should not mess with our pitching staff. The AI should not be making transactions. But if you don't do some sort of do not disturb, when you try to sim a month, for example, it'll stop the sim every few days because you're getting some sort of email or something that requires your attention. Now, the temptation is to click do not disturb. But if you do that under the fine print, it says the AI will do things like signing free agents or making draft picks. It'll also set lineups and depth charts. That's exactly what we don't want it to do. And so when I use this method early on, at the end of each sim, I always had these like extra players and none of the lineups I'd set had been run. And so instead of doing do not disturb, we're going to just uncheck all the reasons for it to exit autoplay, as you can do here. So now it's going to act like do not disturb without giving the AI the right to override what we set. And then this is just more for ease of use, but I'm going to play with the mailbox settings a little bit. I do want to get better at this. All I really want are the all-star notifications and the end of season awards. I still get too many emails in here, but it's better than nothing. Okay, so this checklist is done. I have another checklist for how to import players. So if you want, screenshot this one if you want to do this on your own. And then I'll do, all right. This is an overarching checklist on now how do you import the players to do a fast season simulation. So you build your roster, which we did, right? We have that. We built a roster here, right? So we have that. Build a roster check. Started the season, which we did. And we use that other checklist to make sure we set it up properly, right? We use this checklist to make sure that we started the season properly. Check. We're going to import and edit our players, which we're about to do. The import is what we're going to use that notepad or TXT file for. In this case, we probably won't need to do any editing. That's more for like if we have minor league players or Negro League players. There's some things you might have to do. And then we're going to adjust our settings. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then you can run your simulation. All right, so build roster check, start season check. We're now ready to import our players. So how do we do that? Well, I have another checklist for you. All right. This will make more sense once we do it in the game, but I'll show you this now and then I'll flip to this as we go through the game. The first thing is prepare the destination. So what does that mean? Well, in our notepad file, right, we set our destination for our players as FTM for franchise time machine. Well, right now we're running the Oakland A's. Their abbreviation is OAK. So the game would not know where to put these players destined for FTM. So we need to prepare the destination. Part of that is renaming the team. Part of that is clearing out their roster to make room for our players. Then everything else happens in the free agent page. So I think it'll make more sense to show you this checklist again once we're in the free agent page. So let's do that. Let's go back to the game and I'll show you how to get to this stuff. All right, so let's prepare the destination. One way you can do it is under game settings and league settings. You go to edit league structure and find the team you want to change. In our case, it's the Oakland Athletics. All right. Franchise time machine, and this is um, favorite players at 50 years old. You can name it whatever you want, but that's going to help me remember in the sim, when I look back at the sim, what sim I was doing. And where it says OAK for Oakland, we're going to change this to FTM, franchise time machine. Now, this designation now matches what we put in our notepad. And so the game will find the right place to dump these players we import. Okay. So just to make sure they all went through, we'll go to the team home screen. Yep, franchise time machine, favorite players at 50 years old. Um, this OAK hasn't changed yet, but it will once we go to a different screen and come back. But I don't want this A's logo here. I want to replace it with our franchise time machine logo. And you can replace any logos you want with the logo you've selected. This is for the base game. You can also do this if you play Perfect Team. You want your tournament logo to be different. You can go ahead and select it this way. So you go to, I do it through modified colors and uniforms. There may be other ways to do this, but I find it easiest to do this. So under team logo, there's also small team logo, ball cap logo. It pulls different logos for different uses, but we're just going to replace this one. So select. Now your file path may be different. I use Steam, so it follows this file path. In this logo / nicknames folder, I've already previously uploaded or saved some of my logos. So that's the one I want. I load it, and you see here it's already replaced it. And even on the ball cap, it's replaced it. So our logo is updated, and we come back here. You see the logo on this screen is updated. Our miniature logo is updated, and you see our 3-letter destination is now updated too. So we're set to go. So now the next thing we need to do, let me go back to that more detailed how to import checklist. Right, screenshot this if you want. All right, so we've prepared the destination. Our 3-letter abbreviation is the same as our text file. And now we're going to go to the free agent page and we're going to actually do the import. Oh, wait, we didn't fully prepare the destination yet, though. We have to delete our roster. So I'm going to go to GM and Manager Actions, Manage Team Roster, and I'm just going to delete these players. Right click and delete. Highlight everybody, right click and delete. Now we have injuries off, so we shouldn't need a reserve. Okay, so now everything's ready. So now, according to our checklist, we go to the free agent page. Okay. GM Manager Actions, sign a free agent. Okay. This Actions button is what we're looking for. On the checklist, it says, go to the free agent page. Under Actions, we're going to import historical players. We're going to choose this database, and we can either enter their player ID or we can upload that TXT file. And we're going to upload that TXT file. So, Actions, import historical players. This is also where you come to create players, which we'll do in a different stream. You import historical players, historical underscore database. And up top here is where you can enter in a player ID and their year. But you have to do it one at a time, and you'll see how much the game churns just to do one import. You're not going to want to do that 26 times or even 5 times. So I create one of these. I create one of these files if I'm importing any multiples of players. So it says click here to select file. I named it franchise time choose all-time MLB player, all-time Major League Baseball favorites at 50 years old. So that's the file I'm going to choose. And then I think it was Twins34 who helped me with this. You can base your fielding ratings on the imported season. We're going to do the entire career because what we want to do is have the flexibility for, let's say, someone like Jackie Robinson. His when he played in the Negro Leagues, he played shortstop, played it well. His rookie year with the Dodgers, he played first base and only first base. And then later in his career, of course, he played second base and played it very well. If you import his rookie season, you only have a first baseman. Jackie Robinson is a first baseman. If you check this box, you'll get him as a shortstop, a second baseman, and a first baseman. And pitcher stamina, we want to use imported season. This is important for someone like Mariano Rivera, who started out as a starter. But in his peak seasons, he was a closer. And so you want his closer stamina, not his starter stamina. So you want imported season, not entire career or 3-year period. All right. These other things are if you're bringing in hitters or pitchers who had smaller sample sizes, we don't have that problem because we're picking peak seasons for these players. All right. So now that the fielding ratings are set and the pitcher stamina is set, we can import players. The first thing it's going to do when it's done is going to tell us that it successfully imported X number of players. We have 26 players on our roster, so if that number is not 26, we know we did something wrong. Now this churn, it's going to do whether it's 1 player or 26. So you can understand why I would prefer to upload one document with multiple player IDs instead of doing this multiple times. Now, I was tempted to try this earlier because I wanted to see how good or bad these player profiles are at 50 years old. But I resisted the temptation. I want to see on stream with everyone else what these players look like when we bring them in. Good or bad, I think we'll know pretty quickly if we're looking at like a 50 win team or a 100 win team or a 150 win team because we'll see from the profiles and the bars if there's lots of blue and green, these are some pretty, you know, badass 50-year-olds. If there's lots of yellow and orange, we're not going to do so well. Okay. Historical player imports say 26 players imported. So at least from a head count perspective, we're good. Now, one thing I'm going to do is go look at the roster real quick to make sure um, no one looks, especially at the ages, make sure everyone's in the same age range, around 50 years old. Again, because it's the age year, and I'm not sure how that's calculated. We might have some 49s and 51s in there, which is fine. Okay, we're seeing lots of oranges and yellows, so it's definitely taking them down from their peaks. But I'm really mostly checking to see the ages. They all seem to be right. We've got a 48-year-old season for Mickey Mantle, so I may want to check that. Um, let's look at the spreadsheet real quick. That might have been a arithmetic error on my part. So Mickey Mantle, his peak year was 1956. Oh, you know what? I didn't have his age here, so okay. So let's go to Baseball Reference. Sorry, bear with me for a second. I'm going to open a browser for this. Hold on, I'm trying to get Baseball Reference shared with you on stream. Okay, here we go. Okay, so Mickey Mantle, we chose his 1956 season. And in 1956, he was 24 years old. So his 50-year-old season should be 1982. And what did we put? Um, okay, I put 1980 by mistake. So that should be 1982. The 1947 is still correct for his 15-year-old season. I'm also going to update that notepad file in case we use that again. So we want Mickey Mantle to be 1982. So I'm going to correct that in real time here and then save that file. Okay, which means we need to do another import, unfortunately. Given these ratings, it's not going to make a big difference, but I want to be complete. So let's go back to the free agent screen. And you'll see, I'm going to do one player. It might take a little less time, but it still does the same churn. So it's going to, and possibly it takes almost as long as it does to bring in 20 players. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this and copy and paste Mickey Mantle's player ID is this right here. We're going to copy that and paste it in here. And we want the 1982 season, not the 1980 season. And this time it's going to dump it into the free agent pool. So now you'll get to see what that looks like. You see it's still taking quite a bit of time just to do one player. So makes a lot of sense to use that text file, even if it's just a few players. No sense in doing this multiple times. Just put it in the file, do it once. Especially because now there's the added work of having to go into the free agent pool to assign our player to our team. I'll show you how to do it. It's not that hard, but you don't want to do it 26 times. Or frankly, you don't even want to do it once if you don't have to. Okay, we did import one player successfully, but they're in the free agent pool. Oh, OOTP did not like that. I'm getting a not responding here. Let's hope it doesn't crash. Okay. Lucky break there. Okay, I have it set alphabetically, so I'm just looking for Mantle Mickey, or Mickey Mantle, I guess. There's Mickey Mantle. Age 50. You see there it says age 50. So we are going to open player profile. This is the easy way to do it. You don't have to sign him and wait for him to sign his contract. Go under editor, go down the bottom of the bio page. You see here there's no league selected, Major League Baseball, because our team is in Major League Baseball, and assign him to Franchise Time Machine. See, now he's on our team. And look at all those all-stars and MVPs. Look at that. Okay, so now when we go back to our roster, we're gonna have two Mickey Mantles. Right? We don't want the 48-year-old because I brought in the wrong age. So we're gonna delete that player. All right, now we look good. Now, unfortunately, these players are all super low rated. Even Nolan Ryan, who pitched until I think he was 45 or 46, he was my hope. He's now registering a 20, 30, and 20. So very low ratings. In fact, we can even look. If we open it, he's still got a 50-50, 50 current 50 potential fastball. So he can still throw some heat. Still says velo of 99 to 101. But you can see everything else is diminished here. So I think this is going to be a pretty ugly season. But if we go to editor, and you go under pitching ratings, there's this great function where based on these ratings, it shows what their stats would be. And he is going to have an 11.80 ERA. So this is going to be a rough season. So 50 is clearly too old. The crazy thing is, if you look at his real life stats, he pitched until he was 46. And his BABIP was 244 that season. He had, I mean, this is down from his career averages, of course, but he still threw 6.2 strikeouts per 9 innings. Now, granted, his walks were way up at 5.4. Um, but he was an active major league pitcher with a 4.88 ERA and a 500 record as a 46-year-old. He had positive WAR as a 46-year-old. But what the game is telling us, I guess because it's post-retirement, it's really kind of, not exactly, but almost zeroed out his ratings. And you can see that across the board. They're not quite zeroed out. Like Willie Mays still has, 40 power, 45 eye, but that's still not close to being effective. And it's really the pitchers that got nuked. Right? Trevor Hoffman, Randy Johnson, Walter Johnson, 20, 25, 20. It seems like the game engine is really harsh on aging pitchers. Randy Johnson's another one. If you look at his profile, real life stats, he was 8-6, so over 500 as a 46-year-old. Positive WAR, 8.1 strikeouts per nine, 2.9 walks per nine. So statistically, even more effective than Nolan Ryan was as a 46-year-old. But in the 4 years between 46 and 50 years old, the game has just nuked his profile. And I mean, it's way down. He still has a plus fastball and 95 to 97 velo, down from his career highs, of course. But yeah, the game's been really harsh. I kind of want to go back and do this now for 49, 48, 47, and see really where the cliff is that the game deems you too old to be effective. Or maybe it just happens upon your retirement. If the game just says you're done and your profile is going to reflect that you're done. But I mean, we're here anyway, so let's go ahead and sim it. I think we did get rid of the extra Mickey Mantle, right? Yeah, 26 or 26. So to be consistent, we're going to do this the same way that we've done for every sim. We're going to go to the pitching staff and we're going to ask our bench coach for the staff. Okay, it's not putting anyone in the starting rotation. That hasn't happened before. Let me try that again. Clear pitching staff. Okay, apparently it doesn't want to put anyone in the starting positions. I guess that's how bad the ratings are. Now, it's at least in past versions, even though there's no starting rotation, if you start the sim, it will force the AI to assign starters. So we're going to hope that happens in OOTP 25 too. We may run into a similar issue with some starting lineups. Generate all depth charts and lineups. Okay, at least it gives some starting lineups. So Johnny Bench, who was our longtime starting catcher, is now being benched in favor of Pudge Rodriguez. So it may be seeing something in their profiles as 50-year-olds that even though everything looks uniform here, there's something in favor of Ivan Rodriguez that has him starting when he didn't start during the peak seasons. But overall, really, actually, like no big surprises here. It is weird that Ricky's back, right? Ricky Henderson batting eighth seems weird. But overall, I don't see any big surprises here. Jackie getting benched. Ted Williams getting benched is a surprise. He won a couple of MVPs in our peak season sims, but I guess there's something in his profile that the AI doesn't like. And again, I think it is a post-retirement thing because everyone is uniformly uh, diminished in the same way. 35, 30, 40, 40, 45, right? It's all the same going down. So I have a feeling it's not actually doing anything specific to the player. It's just a post-retirement cut down. Although I don't know, we don't have a control player. If we took an average major leaguer, would their profile be worse because these are some of the best players as 50-year-olds? I don't know. Maybe next time it's worth putting an average player or two in here and see what happens to them. It's the age. All right. I think we're good. I think we're ready to start. I like to do my sims from the standings page. So we'll sim. So if you do finish today, it'll do all the season setup stuff. So this one day is going to take a little while. I'm going to create a backup, but I want to create the backup after this is done. Otherwise, each time I restore the backup, I'll have to do this work again or have it do this processing again, which I want to avoid. And one reason to create the backup is if we want to do this multiple times, we want to start from the same starting point. I have a feeling this season's going to be so bad, we're not going to need to do it multiple times. But it was an experiment worth doing. And, it might still surprise us. We'll still run it and see. But I have a feeling this will be closer to the 62 mechs than it was to the sim we did the other night. Okay, so we'll create the backup now. So a backup is essentially a save that doesn't get saved over. So it kind of freezes the save in time. Whereas like a save, if you keep going, it's going to do an auto save. You've lost your original save. So now we'll always have the start of this season kind of frozen in time. And we're in an ad break, so I'm going to wait till the ad break's over to proceed. Fire ad break's over, so we can go back to the game. So I don't know if it got cut off for the ad break, but basically the backup is like a save that doesn't get saved over. Your save will get replaced at like the end of the season. It'll do an auto save, so you'll lose the beginning of the season. So by making a backup, we're just basically like setting a save aside. All right, so we're about to start our season with this very diminished lineup. Uh, I'm gonna go back here to show you. All right, this is a team where at their peak they went 153-9 and 156-6, and you see where they are now. I think we're gonna be far from that. Hey, Cheeky, welcome to the stream. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. We are revisiting my lineup of favorite all-time baseball players in their peak seasons, and tonight we're bringing them back as 50-year-olds to see what the game does with them. So this team in their prime went 153-9 and 156-6 the other night. And this time I imported them. Every one of them will be in their 50-year-old season during the season. And we're going to see how they do. It already doesn't look good because when you look at the roster, it really took down their ratings. And what I don't know is if the game just does that automatically when someone retires or if it's a function of their age. I do think I'm speculating here, but it seems like it's a function of retirement because two pitchers, Nolan Ryan and Randy Johnson, were still pitching at age 46 and were still 500 or above, but they've all been cut down in ratings similar to everybody else. So this is not going to be anywhere near what the other team did. And frankly, they may create a major league record for worst season, but we'll see. We're about to start the sim. So all you really missed was the setup. And I tried to do it step by step because there's some people interested in doing similar sims themselves. I try to give them a way they can watch the VOD and do it themselves. All right, so let's start the sim. Actually, I was going to do the first game and then do highlights. Although I might regret that now because it looks like we're going to get destroyed. All right, so we're going to hide scores. I am going to end the highlights early if we're just getting trounced because I actually think that's what's going to happen. Scheduling can be completed because there are no active pitchers. Okay, that's weird for two reasons. The first is we have active pitchers. The second is in previous versions of the game, if you got to this stage and you just started a sim, it would force the AI to put pitchers into the game. So the first thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to try to put pitchers in the rotation and see what it does. Okay, and then we'll ask the AI for a bullpen. All right, let's try this. Again, same thing. This is interesting because when who was it? I think it was Ezra Denny tried this, something similar. It wouldn't let him proceed, but I know I've been able to make it work before. And in the forums, people said the same thing. If you force it to start, it will put pitchers from your roster into the game. So this might be a new thing with OTP 25 that's not allowing that force. Because I know in the forums, other people are saying, yeah, if you just make it start, it'll put players in. And I think it might have been Matt from one of the developers from OTP who also said that. If not, it was at least one of the more experienced base game simulators. And their comment aligned with my previous experience in the game. So this is an interesting new problem. All right, so how is there a way we can get around this for tonight? Let's see. We can go in editor and play around, but what does it not like? There's a pitcher. He's on the roster. His stamina is 0. Is that the problem? It's interesting that his stamina is 0 because the whole reason I started down this path was when I mistakenly imported a player for the not safe for work team as a 73-year-old. We were laughing because he had 70 something stamina as a 70-year-old. And we thought that was so funny. But these 50-year-old pitchers, for some reason, have 0 stamina when that 7-year-old pitcher had 70 stamina. Let's see if it's just Pedro. Nope, Steve Carlton has 0 stamina too. Okay, let's see if we go down the list and give everyone a little bit of stamina. Let's see if that does it. So we'll give him 50 stamina. And if you down arrow, I don't know if you knew this, in editor mode, you can down arrow to go through your roster. Or in this case, through the pitching staff. And they're in the order in which they're in your pitching staff. So it went through all the starters first. And now we're going through the bullpen. Okay. This is not ideal. I did not want to have to manipulate things, but until I can get an answer in the forums tomorrow, I think this is the best we can do. Well, Trevor Hoffman's still holding runners at a 230 out of 250. And it's a closer. Hoffman was the last one. All right, so now everyone has a stamina. We'll see if that helps. All right, let's see if we'll let us sim now. All right, let's see. Okay, at least it let us play the game. So apparently you can't have pitchers with 0 stamina, or it's like you don't have pitchers at all. I do wonder though why it brought in Pud Galvin as a 7th-year-old with stamina 70 something, but all these pitchers at 50-year-old came in with 0 stamina. That is odd to me. All right, let's go to highlight reel. Wow, this is really slowing down my system. I hope it doesn't crash the game. Maybe a quick sim would have been better. All right, here we go. Now, I don't have all the good settings like Dr. Dynastic does, but well, I rarely do this. Mostly I'm about fast sims and doing a season in, a few minutes, but let's see how we do. We're playing against the Angels, and Pedro's on the mound facing Shohei Ohtani. Ooh, that's off the wall. It'll be extra bases. The runner on second is probably going to score. Yep. That's an RBI double for Shohei. All right, Mike Trout's now on first. We have one out at least. That's good. Facing Taylor Ward. Yeah, we're just throwing batting practice out here. Okay, did not score a run though. Bases loaded with one out for Pedro. Facing Hunter Renfroe. 1-2 count. Got a ground ball. Oh, through the gap in the right field. I mean, this is almost like facing a Jim Unknown's team, sadly. And that's a lazy fly ball to right field. Might score the runner. We'll see. Hank Aaron got that ball back in pretty quickly, though. Held the runner at third. And 2 outs, 1-2 count for Chad Wallach. Ooh, that's pretty deep to center field. And the batting practice continues. That's a grand slam to take it up to 6-0. Shohei's up again. Oh, now we're at the sixth inning. We're down 15-0. Steve Carlton's in relief facing Shohei. Oh my goodness, that's a bomb to left field. Yeah, this is basically a Jim Unknown's team at this point. Top of the seventh now. We did escape that inning, giving up just one run. Oh, that's another deep shot to left field. And Brandon Drury with a home run. 2-run shot. And, oh, we're going to get to see our team bat a little bit. Bottom of the eighth. Otani is working on a 2-hitter. And Aaron takes it deep in the right center field. It is gone. Score one for the 50-year-olds. Hank Aaron preventing the shutout. All right, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, 1-2 count. Usually when the AI skips ahead to hey Chunks Man, they are Chunks Man, they are not 15-year-olds. This one they are all 50-year-olds. And the simulation engine was unkind to their profiles. I'll show you after the game what their profiles look like. All right. Usually when it jumps to 2 outs in the last inning, this is the end of the game. Yep, and Hannes Wagner goes down looking. 18-1 loss. That was a rough one. All right. Yeah, Chunks, here I'll show you what it looks like. It took them all down roughly to the same profile. There's a couple here with a little more movement than the others. Yeah, you're gonna head to it. Yeah. Yeah, have a good night. Yeah, I think what's happening is as soon as the game engine sees they retired, it's cutting them down to about a minimum. Yeah, I don't think we're supposed to win chunks. I think that's kind of the point the simulation engine is trying to make. But they all the pitchers had zero stamina, which is weird because the whole reason I started this is when we brought Pud Galvin in to the not safe for work team, I entered his year wrong and he came in as a 73-year-old and he had 70 something stamina. But all these pitchers came in with zero stamina. And so I had to add stamina for them and just to get the game to start. And so something happened differently here than it did in that one weird case. But I'm going to run the season, but this is going to be a slaughter. This is not what I was hoping it would be. I'll try it with the 15-year-olds next, and then I think what I'm doing is going to try different ages until we get to an age where we can compete. It doesn't look like we're going to win much, but at least we can compete. And I'll be curious to see what that age is. It might just be the age before everyone's retired. I think it's more retirement than age that's causing this, but we'll find out. Man, maybe I should have picked my least favorite major leaguers to do this too, because I feel bad now that my favorite players would just get crushed. I wouldn't mind seeing Jeter do this, but man, I don't want to see Willie Mays go through this or Hank Aaron. All right. Well, let's do it. Let's sim a month. Actually, if I do a month, it's just going to take us to the. No, I think we're good. Let's see what happens here. Hank Aaron, league leader in home runs right now. Okay, yeah, it just took us to the first. Let's see. Yeah, we're not doing too good here. Oh, we won a game. We're 1-1. How did that happen? 1-10, 1-12, 1-13, 1-14. Ooh, this is bad. How did we win one game? That's the crazy part. 1-26. Yeah, we are a team of Jim unknowns pretty much. 1-28, .034 win percentage. We're 1 month in and 21 and a half games back of the Astros. Yikes. Yeah, how did we win one game? That's what I was wondering. Is there a way to see? Yeah, you know what? We can go to our schedule and we can go to our one win in April. We beat the Angels 5-1. Look at that win probability. We really swung it in the sixth inning. Hank Aaron, 1 for 3 with two RBI, two home runs in 2 games from Hank Aaron. 50-year-old Hank. And Sandy Koufax went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits and 3 walks, and was player of the game. Let's see what happened in that sixth inning. Top of the sixth, the Angels scored, and then we came back in the bottom of the sixth. Did the other team? Chunk's asking if the other team felt bad and forfeited. The pitchers who give the run should be fired. All right, let's see. Top of the sixth, they scored. So let's see. Top of the sixth was Tom Seaver pitching. Otani hit a solo homer, walk, fly out, single, fielder's choice, ground out. It was a solo home run. And the bottom of the sixth, Patrick Sandoval, lefty pitching. Michael Jack Schmidt flies out. Hannes Wagner grounds up. So this is all with 2 outs. With 2 outs, Ryan Sandberg singles. Hank Aaron hits a 2-run home run. And then Mickey Mantle grounds out. So that's how we got the go-ahead run. Hank Aaron, the hero of this team early in the season. And then, we scored 3 runs in the eighth. What happened in the eighth inning? All right, left-hander Kenny Rosenberg in for the Angels. Ripken singled. Michael Jack Schmidt bunting. Bunts, flies out to the catcher. Hannes Wagner bunting. Misses the bunt. Successful sack bunt. Oh, play it second, runner safe. So it was first and Wagner gets on board. First and second. Sandberg gets a single. Ripken to third. Wagner to second. Runner from third tries for home. Ripken, who's not very fleet of foot and 50 years old, scores. They intentionally walk Hank Aaron, who's hit at that point has hit 2 bombs in 2 games. They intentionally walk Aaron to get to Mantle, and then Mantle gets a single on a 1-0 pitch, scoring Wagner. And then Ricky Henderson sack fly, scoring Sandberg from third. All right, so that's how the damage was done. Our lone win of the season so far. And if you had asked me a prediction after the first 2 games, after an 18-1 loss and then a 5-1 win, I would have thought maybe we can win 30, 40 games. I mean, the 62 Mets managed to win 40 games, but I would not have guessed 1-28. Well, based on the first 2 games, I would not have guessed 1-28. Based on the ratings, I would absolutely guess 1-28. All right, let's see how the rest of the month goes. See if we can pick up another win. Not yet. Still not yet. That win percentage keeps dropping. The good thing is, if we win 1 game, that win percentage is going to shoot up. The laptop may have frozen here. We're stuck at 1-40. Not 1-4. Oh, here we go. It's unstuck. Unfortunately for us, it is unstuck. We are 1-47. Jeez. That 1 win is looking more and more like a miracle. Milestone. Ricky Henderson hits career home run number 300. All right, we are 1-57. Yikes. All right, let's go to, let's see, we're June 1st. Let's go to the announcement of the All-Star teams. As good as the peak version of this team was, this version is even worse than that team was good. Because in one sim, that team lost, I think, 6 games. We're not going to win 6 games. Oh, 2 wins, 2 wins. We won a second game. Let's go see that box score. This is sad when we have time to review the box score of every win because we have so few wins. Yeah, these are Jim on no scores 0-20, 0-23. Let's find that green ink. There it is. At Cleveland, we won 5-0, a shutout. Who threw this 6-hit shutout masterpiece? I'm going to guess Pedro. Pedro! 5 innings, scatters 5 hits and 3 walks, no strikeouts. Drops his ERA to 18.33. And Hoffman with a 4-inning save. Jeez. A 4-inning save. I bet he never had a 4-inning save in his career. Scatters 3 hits and 4 walks. Pedro's the player of the game. And who did the damage at the plate? Mickey Mantle went 2-for-4. Ripken hit a home run. Gehrig hit a home run. And Junior hit a home run. We're at the All Star break, and our high in RBIs is 14. Yikes! And I think Pedro was 1 in 15. Did I see that right? Yeah. And that was Hoffman's first save of this. Well, of course, it's his first save. We've only won 2 games. Whew. All right. Let's sim today. All right, let's put the standings up. We'll sim today and then check out the All Star festivities. All right, we're 2 and 90, 16 and a half games back at the All Star break with a .022 win percentage. There may be, I don't remember if we what was checked, but let's have an All Star representative. Looking for franchise time machine in here. Okay, I guess there is no such rule because we do not have a representative. This is the final roster, which also reflects managers' choices, and we do not have any players on here. Which you don't expect anyway from a 2 and 90 team. All right. Normally I would watch the home run contest in the All Star game, but I don't think there's any point there. I usually do that to see how our players do, but we don't have any players in there. All right, let's sim another month. Man, this is painful. Ooh. 2 and 105. We have not won since the All Star game. The 62 Mets are laughing at this team. All right, we'll sim to roster expansion date. It should be September 1st. Still looking for that third win. We're 78 and a half games back. 80 and a half games back. Man, brutal. 2 and 130. We are 2 and 132 at the roster expansion date. We have lost 58 in a row. Jeez. All right. All right. Take us to the end of the regular season. Come on, third win. Give us a third win. It's not looking like it's going to happen. 99 and a half games behind. Can we get 100? 100, 102. Jeez. Ah, we are at the last game of the season. We are 2 and 159. We have one more game to sim. Losing streak. Yikes. 2 and 160. We cannot manage another win. We are on an 86 game losing streak with some of the best players in Major League history. as 50-year-olds. So time remains undefeated, I guess, is the moral of this simulation. Across the league here, we have one, two, three, four, five 100 win teams and one 160 loss team, which would be us. All right, let me screenshot this sad standings. Okay, and let's look at our pitching stats. I'm gonna screenshot that. Oh, this is brutal. Every pitcher has double-digit ERA. Wow, tons of walks. Um, yeah, double-digit walks per nine to control out the window. Um, whips in the threes and fours. Brutal, brutal. And on the batting side, I usually sort by OPS. Our max OPS is 464. Hank Aaron, who managed to hit 9 home runs. Oh, we have Willie Mays hit 11 home runs to lead the team. Double digit home runs. Good job, Willie. But yeah, these are abysmal stats. Lots of snowflakes here to be expected, I guess. And Ted Williams, who was our multiple MVP winner during the peak sim, did not even start. I see actually the starts are a lot more distributed amongst the bench players than in the peak sim, and I wonder if that's just because of fatigue. Man, this is sad. The max RBI total was Mickey Mantle with 24. We had a stolen base. Ryan Sandberg stole a base. I do think this is overly harsh. I think if you had this squad as 50-year-olds, I got to think in real life they would have won more than 2 games, but maybe not. I mean, maybe the drop off is that bad after you retire and you're not getting regular at bats. And I wonder if this would be any different if we did this under career mode. Because you know what? It did a recalc. Okay, I'm gonna that's actually worth doing. Let's redo this under career mode because with the recalc, I think the sim engine saw that the player was retired, so there's no season to pull. With the career mode, with the recalc off, it may still look at potential and give us something. Um, so let's do that. I'll play out the postseason just to see what happens, but I think doing the career mode might be interesting. But that also means we can't go back to the backup for this season because the backup was created under. Oh wait, maybe can I change the mode once the game's been created? Yeah, I think that's like so fundamental to the setup that I may have to start back over. All right, let's run the postseason. Actually, there's no point. There's no point. I think let's just save this. All right, we're gonna try this with recalc off in career mode. and see if that helps. I suspect it might because that's going to base it on potential. And I think when it, because we're in default mode and it did do a recalc, when it went to pull these players' profiles, it didn't find anything. And so it just gave them minimal ratings. I mean, they weren't 20s across the board. I wonder if that's a nod to the fact that they were more major leaguers or excellent major leaguers. But yeah, that was ugly. I am impressed though that Hank Aaron and Willie Mays, given how low their their profiles were, that they still managed to hit home runs. I'm going to create a new season. Oh, my system's super laggy right now. I don't know if it's going to recover much. But this is exactly why I repaired the notebook file when I realized that the Mickey Mantle data was wrong. Okay, so we're going to create a new game. Historical. Okay, this time we're going to do career mode. So the difference here is with default mode, players will be rated entirely based on their actual performance, right? So their actual performance is 0 because they're retired. In career mode, um, career mode aims to play through history from the starting year while letting things play out differently than they did in real life. Uh, my understanding is that means recalc is basically off. So that's what we want. I think that'll give us our best chance. So for player development, we're using the talent ratings and the OOTP development engine. So we're not doing a recalc, which is what we want. All right. We'll see if this does anything different. Man, that was. I, I didn't think I could even intentionally make a team that would lose 160 games. It's kind of sad that it was the 50-year-old version of this, but I think the taking the recalc off will help. Go back into oh yeah. Just going back to my Windows Explorer to get the save name. Uh-oh. I think we're frozen. Yeah, there we go. Career mode. CM for career mode. Okay. Let's see if that helps. 2 and 160. That was way worse than I was expecting. But the player profiles were also way worse than I was expecting. I thought they would assume some residual ability from players that good. But now that I hear myself talk about it, I think the career mode is what might give us that. I wish I knew how to force ad breaks. Is like pushing an ad break now would be great because we're having to sit through the game setting up the season anyway. Okay, so the first time I did this today, I went more step by step to kind of help people who want to do this on their own. I think this time, since we've already done that, I'm going to zip through this and try to set up as quickly as I can. And I think upon looking at the import, we'll know pretty quickly if it's going to be any better or not. If the profiles look the same, I won't do the highlights of game one, but I will sim the season just to see if we can get more than two wins. 2 and 160 is brutal. It so baffles me why that one when Pud Galvin was brought in with the wrong age, why it gave him a stamina. And I wish I'd screenshotted his profile because it was bad, but I mean, was it as bad as these profiles ended up being? I don't know. I mean, I guess I could also recreate that condition, try to re-import that not safe for work team too, but we're just waiting for the sim to get processed and ready to. Man, I mean, of course, by record, that was the worst sim outcome we've done, but in some ways, it's also the most impressive because, I mean, frankly, we learned how harsh the game engine is towards retired players. I don't think it's the 50-year-old thing. I think it's the fact that they're retired. Okay, the players are being imported, so hopefully it'll start up soon. Also, that was not fun watching some of my favorite players of all time get beat up like that. Not fun at all. I think yet another reason if the profiles look as bad as that they did in the last sim, I think we'll just pull the plug. Also, partially because my laptop is really starting to lag. But hopefully we can get through to at least the import and see what the players look like. Well, it's been stuck on importing managers for a while now. That's not promising. Okay, it's initializing, so hopefully we get to play soon. Once I started streaming and I realized that my system's a little underpowered for it's fine for playing the game, but I think between playing the game and using OBS, which I use for the streaming, and having some browsers open, um, for things like baseball reference, but also the Google slides for the slides I put up, it just can't keep up. And I learned during the course of this that my laptop is not memory upgradable. An added memory would probably have helped. So probably gonna look into getting an inexpensive but more powerful system, at least maybe an upgradable system. I've been told that Chrome is memory intensive, and that's my default browser right now. I'm sure that doesn't help. But I've started using Firefox, and that seemed to have helped a little bit, but apparently right now it's still bogging down. Oh man, that was a real bummer of a season. All right, it's up to closing faces. Seems like a good sign. I wish I remember the whole things that come up. Yeah, I don't know if that's close to the end or not, but that's where we're at right now. Oh, closing period. Oh no, sorting nations. That doesn't seem good. Oh, finalizing. That sounds promising. Nope. Checking league logos now. Oh, all right. There we go. We're back in business. Okay, we're gonna do the Oakland Athletics. Man, what was it 86 game losing streak to end the season? That's what a brutal year. Yeah, I just think of what a nightmare morale must have been. Like, we entice these players to come out of retirement, come to 2023, you'll get to play again with some of your peers and some people from across baseball history. It'll be great. You can, get back in the clubhouse, get back on the road, get back on the field. And then we just march them through a grinder of a 2-win season. Jeez. All right. At least we're getting a percentage here. Got a while to go. I'm really hoping this career mode without recalc is going to be better. I mean, it can't be worse. Oh, now scouting the players. Okay, as long as this is going on, I'm going to take a quick bio break. I'll be right back. I think I have a BRB screen. All right, I'm back, but the game is still thinking. All right, here we go. Finally. Okay, let's do this quickly as we can. Or as quickly as the game will let us do it. It's not really. There we go. Okay, injuries off. Options. And then we need to edit league structure. We're going to rename the athletics. And the main thing is that we change the designation to FTM for Franchise Time Machine. Update the logo. Again, if you're joining us now, I would say I'm zipping through this to try to get this second simulation done quickly, just to see if it's any better on the import, the level of players it imports. So if you want to know what I'm doing or how to do it, I'd recommend going back to the VOD and checking out the first hour where I go really step by step to set up that first unfortunate sim. All right, so let's get our roster ready. Let's delete the existing players. Let's get the manager options ready. Okay. I think we're ready to import. Oh. Well, we'll know pretty quickly, I think, if this is going to be any different. Building the player list. This might take some time. Oh, no, there we go. Actions, import historical players from historical database. And we're going to use our text file. Fielding from entire career, stamina based on. Maybe we should do entire career since they're retired. Yeah. Potential. Let's go potential based on peak seasons of career. That might help when it does the when it tries to figure out what they would be at 50 years old. It might help if it has the peak potential to look at. Uh, um, yeah, I think that's it. Let's do it. Again, the check will be how many players does it import? It should be 26. I did not know that. Kennedy Cummings, has a card in PT 25, credited with inventing the curveball. Let's hope that loading the minor league database is the end of it, and then we'll be ready to go. Come on, just say we successfully imported 26 historical players. Come on, OOTP. Well, it's been stuck here for a while. I don't know whether I should. Oh, there we go. Importing players. Finally importing players. Well, it says it's at 100%, but nothing's happening. I'm hoping to at least just get to the import and see what their profiles look like. And if they're 20s and 30s again, then we'll know not to even bother running the sim. But if there's anything more than that, I'd like to try to limp through the sim, but I don't know if it's gonna be possible given how slow my computer is running right now. I mean, the answer might be let's import, see what it looks like. If it's promising, maybe just save it and we'll run it tomorrow night. Just call it a night because the laptop's getting so slow. There we go. 26 players successfully imported. Let's at least see what they look like. Oh, I don't like that spinning wheel. I have to hit OK again. Okay. I had to hit OK again, but at least we got here. All right, let's take a look at our roster. Oh, look at this. Signs of life. 1.5 stars for Nolan Ryan, which is to be expected. He was the one pitching latest in this year. So is Randy Johnson. So what do we have for Randy Johnson? Hmm. Although now we have no ratings. We have better overalls, but no ratings. Yeah, these are better than before. These are not better than before. But on the pitching side, these are significantly better than before. They all used to look like Trevor Hoffman, I think. Hmm. Let's see if you get. Okay, gives us a rotation this time. That's better. That must. Yeah, look, their staminas are not now above nothing. So that's great. That's a big improvement. But unfortunately, I don't think the batters look any different. And it's given. Well, now Ricky's batting ninth. All right, let's just sim a season. See what happens. I may be forgetting to do some steps, but at this point, you know, if we're looking at single digit wins, I don't think forgetting to check or uncheck a box is going to matter right now. So let's just do the sim and see what happens. Oh, at least we'll have better pitching. And those staminas were high. Did you see those? Let's go look at those again when it's done processing. Oh, I forgot that the game generates preseason predictions. But yeah, look at these staminas. Right, these are 50-year-old dudes. Christy Mathewson's got a 90 stamina. Aldhouse Radburn's got a 90 stamina. Walter Johnson's got a 90 stamina. So even though they're 50, it's kind of kept those staminas where you would expect. I wonder if one of the reasons Trevor Hoffman is so nerfed is because his stamina is the lowest. He's the one kind of relief pitcher I put on the roster. That's just one game to the end of March. Now we'll do a full month. The one good thing about the laptop being so slow is I can watch the standings change a little bit easier. Yeah, we're 0 and 10. We had that one early win last sim that helped us out, but no such luck here. Yeah, this is brutal again. 0 and 23 to start the season. Just like last time, Ricky hit home run number 300, but we are 0 and 29. That is worse than last time. Yikes, we actually, oh, 1 in 44. 1 in 57. I'm just gonna forget about the All Star game. We're just gonna go sim straight through month by month. So while the ratings were better, 271, they are still not significantly better. We're still sub 100 win percentage here, 2 and 82. So switching to career mode definitely made a difference in the pitcher ratings were higher. Batter ratings were still terrible. So there's still something else. Now 3 and 98, we're already ahead of last Sim's pace, but not by much. 3 and 104. So the roster expansion date, September 1st. We have a chance to double our win total though. 4 and 122. 5 and 123. Winning streak. A veritable winning streak. 2 consecutive pinch hit home runs by Jackie Robinson. That's actually a nice achievement there. All right, we're 5 and 129. All right, let's sim to the end of the regular season. Can we triple our win total? Can we get that magical sixth win? Come on, win number 6. We're running out of games. We're running out of games. Oh, 6 wins. 7 wins. Can we get to 8? Oh, we're at 7 and 154. 1 game left to sim the last day of the season. Can we quadruple our win total? No, 7 and 155. Still, 3.5 times more wins than last time. 7 and 152 versus 2 and 160. And I do believe it was most likely due to the significant improvement in our pitcher ratings. And we screenshot the standings. Okay, let's get pitcher rating, pitcher stats. I mean, yeah, the whips are significantly better. Right, last time we had whips in the threes and fours only. Now we're talking all in the twos. I mean, it's still bad, but it's way better than last season. Most of the interesting, most of the wins came out of the pen, so lots. Looks like several come from behind wins. Um, the walks per nine were all double digits before. Now only Trevor Hoffman was that bad. But the batting ratings were still really bad, so I think that's where we're still stuck. Sort by OPS. Yeah, we still have the best is a sub 500 OPS. You're not going to win many games with that. Oh, hold on. Let me get this picture out of the way. Look at the string of snowflakes there. All right. Well, so the hitters are still way too weak. And I wonder if for them it's because at least on the pitching staff we know at least Nolan Ryan and Randy Johnson pitched in their 46th year age 46 season, and some of these other pitchers also pitched into their 40s. I think a lot of the position players were done by their 40s. I think maybe only Ricky might have played that long. So that might be part of it. But again, they're so uniformly reduced that I think there's something else going on here. At least now the pitchers, when you look at the pitchers, it's not as uniform anymore. Right? Batters completely uniform in how they're nerfed, but on the pitching side, there's much more variability and also much higher than the batters were. So there's something happening there. Right? Even the overalls, right? We have Pedro with 2 stars at least on the batting side. Oops. But on the batting side, oh, okay, we had a couple 1.5 star players there. What if I turn scouting accuracy off? Okay, so I turned scouting off. So let's see if that helped. Well, all the overalls dropped down. Oh, some of the pitching ratings looks like they came up a bit. Yeah, so the pitchers are definitely ahead of the batters here at age 50 for some reason. The batters all still look like they were uniformly nerfed like the pitchers did last time, but now the pitchers are better by going to career mode. All right, well, I'm going to save this. We're going to shut it down for tonight. Um, you know, successful experiment does not necessarily mean lots of wins. I think it means lots of information, and we did get lots of information today. So, from that perspective, I'm going to call this a successful experiment. Um, I mean, we're far from this, right? We we had 6 and 9 losses last time with these players at their peak. This time we had 2 and 7 wins with them as 50-year-olds. I think the 7 one is more legit because it was done with the auto calc or the recalc off. And of course, if you recalc with a retired player, you're going to get nothing. So at least this is, based on projecting out their aging, based on their peak potentials. I will be interested to see what happens when we roll this back to 15-year-olds. And then I think the other thing that I do still want to test, like, what does this look like at different ages, and is there a cliff? Although I think the cliff is retirement; it's not an age. But I can look up when these players retire too, and see, does the step change coincide with when most of the players retired or not? So yeah. So as far as our experiment tonight, bringing back our team that won 153 games and 156 games in the regular season and pretty much swept the playoffs to the World Series championships. Um, what would happen if we brought them back to 50-year-olds? And I think we know the answer now. It's not kind. Even if you believe, well, even though we acknowledge that it's true that time is undefeated, it seems like pretty harsh that this player is this good, especially on the batting side, would diminish so fast. Well, maybe it's not so fast. In some of these cases, they're maybe 15 years post retirement. But for some of them, we're only talking 7, 8 years post retirement, but to think that their ability is completely gone. And yet on the pitching side, it looks like it's somehow allowing some of these players to retain some semblance of their ability. So it's kind of tough to reconcile that difference between batters and hitters too. So, but yeah, we'll pick this up again next time with the 15-year-olds. And in the meantime, let's see if anyone's streaming OOTP that we can stream into. All right, who's streaming out of the park baseball? And if not, we'll maybe find MLB the show. Okay, we're the only ones streaming OOTP. How about just baseball? Or is Baffle streaming anything tonight? Baffle is not streaming. Uh, Let me go back to my baseball search. Sorry, I know you're not seeing anything on screen while I do this, but Major Mangos is streaming MLB The Show, but it doesn't look like MLB The Show, is it? Sounds like he's Australian or something. This could be fun. All right, let's rate into him. I'm trying to type in the raid command. My computer's kind of frozen. Trying to raid into this guy. All right, here we go. We can try to raid into this guy. He's playing MLB The Show. Sounds like he might be Australian or New Zealander. All right, thanks again for joining me tonight. Apologies that the results of this sim weren't so great, but we did learn a ton. And we'll come back and do it with the 15-year-old versions of these players next time. All right, have a great night.